I'm going to teach you what you can do in this instance if you don't want to waste it. What I've got this pot with some boiling water, on the, in the works here. And what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to place this jar in the boiling water. It's kind of just going to cover about 3/4 of the jar there. So I'm just going to leave a little bit exposed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to gradually dissolve all of that hardened herbal extract into the water. What's worth mentioning here is that these herbs are heat extracted. The constituents that we are looking for our medicine are heat stable, right? And so they're none of them are going to be denatured by this heating process. So yeah, just an FYI. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get our little mate out here. So pour all that out. Great. Now you're going to go and cool down over here. All right, now I used, because I had a lot of herb in that jar, I used a lot of water, right? In order to dissolve that. I don't quite want that much water, so I'm gonna stand nearby constantly for this next step. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to reduce this tea with all that extract in there, just so it's a little bit more concentrated for when I put it back into the jar. So I'm going to leave this for say like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Definitely don't walk away and do anything else, because you'll forget and all the water will evaporate and you'll burn all those constituents in there from your beautiful tonic herbs. So we're just gonna hang on now for about 10 minutes, let that reduce. Then I'm going to turn it off, let it cool down, and I'll show you our next and final step. So I've reduced that down so you can see the tea I'm left with is quite dark and viscousy, and I think, yeah, that's a pretty nice concentration. Turned it off, popped it in the bowl, let it cool down. Jars cooled down, obviously, not putting cold water on them, not putting them in the fridge or anything like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide, am I going to use this up in the next 2 to 3 weeks? If I am, I can just put this straight into a jar and then pop that into the fridge and boom. Let's just say now I'm going to put this bit that's left, I'm actually going to put that in a jar and I'm going to use that over the next 2-3 weeks. So I don't need a preserver in there. But this one, I want to stick it to the back of the fridge a little bit. Perhaps after going through that, I won't feel like turkey tail right now, and so I want to stash a little bit. I'm going to need a preserver then, so so nothing goes off. Now it's remember, these are fine as long as you're in that expiry date belt. Like for the herb originally, what we put on the jars at Superfeast for you, then you're going to be fine. So what I'm going to do, because I want this to sit in the fridge and not go off, I'm basically going to figure out what 1/3 of that liquid is, which is going to be about that much, and I want to use about 1/3 of vodka and turn that into like basically a tincture, and that's going to act as my preserver to make sure this doesn't go off. And so that very simply now is my turkey tail tea. So you've already had a jewel extract powder, so that was alcohol and water extract powder, and then that's gone hard, and then you've kind of turned that back into a tea and rehydrated it, and then we're just adding that little bit of vodka. You can use other preservers if you want. I use vodka. It's in my house. I use it for skin scrubs. I use it for making tinctures. It's there. It's a good preserver. If you really don't want the vodka when you're getting back to that point where you want to use this, you can pop it back in a pot and just get it to a rolling boil for a couple of minutes, and that will evaporate off that alcohol. But otherwise, that's how you go ahead and take your hardened herbs, remembering that it's like an initiation. We all go through this. We all have that period where we've left a little bit of herb in the bottom of the jar and we've kind of stashed it away in the dark, and we thought, look, it's going to be okay there. but moisture can get in, especially if we get rid of the desiccant, or we've used a wet spoon, or we just leave it for too long. We can kind of avoid it if you just go in there every now and then and you just whip it up with a spoon, or even if you just like give it a real good pulse and a shake. That just makes sure it doesn't compact and doesn't make it as susceptible to hardening and allowing that moisture to get into the powder and doing what happened to this one. But as I said, if you want to be in the Superfeast community, you want to be a longevity herb node, generally you're going to need to get initiated by a nice hardened herb, and it's nice to have this in the back pocket so you don't have to waste anything, and it's still good to go. And I'm going to be on the turkey tail, obviously. So let us know if you got any questions, but go forth and prosper.